Good day everyone, welcome to Tax Training by Elsa Cañete, and today I will discuss to you tutorials on how to adjust your books of accounts. But before that, I would like to say thank you sa ating mga subscribers. Right now, today is December 10, 2020, and our subscribers are 8,490. No? Thank you very much sa mga nag-subscribe sa atin. For those na hindi pa, please subscribe to our channel and we promise to bring you more updates in taxation. The purpose of our channel is for you to have a better tax compliance. Okay. So why is it na kailangan po natin ng malaman yung how to adjust our books of accounts, no? So this is a tutorial on how to adjust your books of accounts. Why? Kasi in the previous, meron na po tayong mga na explain sa inyo about the posting, no? Sa ledger, sa journal, sa cash receipt, cash disbursement. Tinuro na po natin yan sa inyo sa ibang mga videos natin. So ngayon, ang ituro naman po natin sa inyo is how to adjust your books of accounts because December na po, no? Ilang araw na lang, 2021 na. So, year-end na tayo. So, ano na yung dapat gawin natin? Mag-adjust na tayo ng books of accounts at mayroon pa tayong isang video na how to close your books of accounts para prepare na for the preparation ng next accounting period. Why? Kasi ending na tayo ngayon itong December, especially dun sa mga fiscal year or calendar year ending December 31. So, ending na tayo ngayon, January, bagong taxable year na ulit, no? So, thank you very much na matatapos na itong 2020 and then makapag-umpisa tayo dun sa 2021. Okay? So, adjusting your books of accounts. Pagkatapos na nakapag-posting na tayo, lahat ng mga accounts na yan na pinopost natin, meron pa tayong tinatawag na adjusting entries. Bakit? Because there are accounts na kailangan mong i-adjust para makuha mo yung tamang account balance, no? So, in order for revenues and expenses to be reported in the correct period, companies make adjusting entries at the end of the accounting period, no? So, bakit mo siya i-adjust? Kasi para ma-reflect mo yung tama na balance, no? So, adjusting entries ensure that the revenue recognition and matching principles are followed. So, ano yung revenue recognition? Na talagang for the taxable period, halimbawa 2020, na-report mo talaga yung revenue o yung income mo na dapat ma-report dyan sa taxable year na yan. Because our one taxable year is 12 months, no? So, ano naman itong matching principles? The matching principles are match mo yung expenses doon sa income. So, ano ba yung income na earn mo during the year? So, dapat yung mga expenses na nakakabit doon sa income mo, yun din yung na-claim mo, no? Kasi may mga limitations tayo sa deductions, may mga limitation tayo doon sa pag-declare at sa pag-claim natin ng mga deductions sa income natin para to arrive at the taxable income, no? So, adjusting entries make it possible to report correct amount on the balance sheet and on the income statement, no? Kasi ano ba yung purpose natin? We will prepare our financial statements, which is mandatory for all taxpayers, no, na may business na gumawa sila ng financial statements, i-attach dyan sa income tax return na i-file nila at year-end, no? So, saan manggagaling ngayon yung mga accounts na i-report natin doon sa financial statement? Manggagaling yan din sa ating books of accounts. Why? Kasi kung hindi tayo nagre-record, wala tayong guide, wala tayong alam kung magkano na ba yung right amount na dapat nating i-report sa ating financial statements, no? So, at ano yung mga importante na statements or financial statements na dapat ginawa natin? Ito yung balance sheet, nandiyan yung mga assets and liabilities natin, ito yung mga ari-arian at saka pagkakautang ng mga taxpayers. And then, ito yung ating income statement. Sa income statement natin, nandiyan na yung application ng principles natin, yung matching principle. Ano yung matching principle na yan? Na yung income mo at saka yung expenses mo magmamatch. Paano sila magmamatch? Dapat, kung ano yung expenses mo pertaining to that income, yan lang din ang deduct mo. Hindi mo pwedeng i-deduct yung mga expenses na hindi naman kasama doon sa pag-earn mo ng income. So the trial balance is the first summarization of the transaction data. No? Ano yung trial balance? Kasi di ba sa pag-record natin sa ating books, we adhere to the double entry system, which is the debit and the credit. So the moment meron tayong isang transaction, yung isang transaction na yan, meron siyang debit at meron siyang credit. Yun yung double entry. No, sa isang transaction, 2 beses ka mag-entry, isang debit at isang credit. So, para malaman mo na tama yung ginawa mo, balance yung account mo, kakaroon ka ngayon ng trial balance. Bakit trial balance pa lang? Kasi tinatry mo pa lang, chine-check mo pa lang kung tama ba yung ginawa mo na balance ba yung post mo sa mga accounts. No? So, it is the summarization of the transaction data and meron siyang up-to-date, no, and complete data. Bakit? Kasi hindi pwedeng may makalimutan ka. That's why sa 10 tips to avoid tax problems ko na book, nakalagay doon na talagang bago ka gumawa ng ITR mo, ng returns mo, i-reconcile mo muna doon sa mga other documents mo to see to it na kumpleto, wala kang naiwan. Why? Kasi pag may naiwan ka, mali-letter notice ka ng BIR. The BIR has a way of tracking your business transactions. So, pag may nakalimutan ka, kita mo na lang, makatanggap ka na lang ng letter notice na ito yung discrepancy na report mo. No? Mayroon kang nakakaligtaan or may nakalimutan kang i-report. Okay, so ano tong mga several reasons kung bakit hindi kompleto yung mga data na nai-report ng isang taxpayer. Some costs are not recorded during the accounting period because they expire with the passage of time rather than as a result of daily transactions. So, may mga cost talaga na nag-i-expire na. No? And then, the examples are rent, insurance, charges related to the use of equipment. No? So, yun yung mga examples ng account na nag-i-expire. No? Especially kung prepaid rent yan at nagamit na. So, kailan lipat mo na yan doon sa expense. Some items may be unrecorded. No? Ito naman yung mga hindi na-record pero nagkaroon ng transaction. So, anong gagawin mo dyan? Papasok lahat yan sa adjusting entries. Idagdag mo. No? Example, utility bill that the company will not receive until the next accounting period. No? Kagaya ng Meralco, no? Yung light and water natin. Na-consume natin siya ng December pero darating yan January na. No? So, company must make adjusting entries every time it prepares financial statements. No? So, ano pala, kailangan or mandatory talaga na nagpe-prepare tayo ng adjusting entries. No? So, these adjusting entries, when you make your adjusting entries, you have to analyze also the account, no, na nandyan sa trial balance mo. Para makita mo ngayon kung kompleto ba sila and up-to-date. Why up-to-date? Because there are times na nag-expire na pala yung expense na yan. Yung prepaid mo, hindi na pala prepaid. Why? Because na-apply mo na siya on the current period. Company may need to make inventory counts of supplies. No? So, may mga inventory counts talaga in order to determine kung naubos mo ba yung supplies o hindi. It may also need to prepare supporting schedules of insurance policies. Lalo na itong insurance natin, pag bumili tayo ng insurance, it's good for 1 year. So, hindi pa talaga siya gamit. No? Pag binili natin, magagamit pa siya staggered during the year. Rental agreement, no? Yung mga prepaid rent natin, and other contractual commitments, especially yung mga commitments natin na under contract, no? Sometimes advance payment talaga. Companies often prepare adjusting entries after the balance sheet date, but date them as of the balance sheet date, no? Kasi hindi ka naman pwedeng mag-prepare ng balance sheet mo ng December 31. Bakit? Kasi yung December 31 mo, may mga pumapasok ka pa na transactions, hindi pa siya kompleto. So, ano talaga ang ginagawa? You prepare your balance sheet after the balance sheet date. So, kung yung balance sheet date mo is December 31, ipe-prepare mo yan ng January. Why? Kasi at that time, kompleto na yung data or information mo. Types of adjusting entries. So, what are the types of the adjusting entries na dapat nating gawin? No? So, dalawa po siya. Deferrals, for deferrals, or accruals. For the deferrals, we have prepaid expenses, dinefer natin, no? Kasi nagbayad na tayo pero hindi pa siya gagamitin pa siya on some future time. Unearned revenues, no? So itong prepaid expenses to sa atin, gastos. Ito namang unearned revenues, income yan, no? Natanggap mo na pero hindi mo pa na-earn. Bakit? Kasi advance siya binayaran. No? And then we have the accruals. Ano naman itong accruals? Accrued revenues and accrued expenses. Ito yung accrued revenues na earned na pero hindi mo pa na tanggap. Yan ang opposite naman nung deferrals, no? Kasi yung deferrals, natanggap mo na pero hindi mo na na-earn. Ang accrual naman, na-earn mo na pero hindi mo pa natanggap. Ganon din yung accrued expenses, no? Yung expenses na incurred na pero hindi pa bayad. In short, itong accruals, ito talaga yung utang, no? Yung deferrals, advance yun na binayaran mo, advance din na na-receive mo yung income, no? So, yung accruals, utang na to, no? So, revenues earned but not yet received in cash or recorded. Yun yung accrued revenues. Accrued expenses naman, gastos, expense mo na, pero hindi mo pa binayaran. Kaya may liability ka. This is the example of our ABC Advertising Agency, no? So, trial balance September 30, 2019. Sinasabi natin, ang trial balance natin, kung magkano yung debit mo, pareho yung credit. So, pareho ba sila? No? So, tama. Kasi the debit balance is 28,700 and then the credit balance is 28,700. So, ano yung mga accounts na nandito? We have the cash, advertising supplies. We have the prepaid insurance, office equipment, notes payable, accounts payable, unearned revenue, common stock, retained earnings, dividends, service revenue, salaries, expense, rent, expense. Ano napapansin nyo dito sa trial balance? Nandyan ang account para sa balance sheet and income statement, no? Itong cash, saan ito papatak? Sa account sa balance sheet. Advertising supplies, depende, no? Kung expense na to sa income statement, kung hindi pa siya ubos, pwede pang gamitin, nasa balance sheet as asset. Prepaid insurance, nasa balance sheet pa rin, no? Kasi prepaid pa siya, hindi pa siya gamit. Hindi mo pa siya pwedeng ilagay sa expense. Office equipment, ganun din, nasa assets pa. Kasi hindi naman nauubos ang office equipment. And then we have the notes payable. Ito yung nasa balance sheet mo kasi utang siya. Also accounts payable. Unearned revenue, nasaan ito? Sa balance sheet mo pa rin kasi bakit liability siya. No? Hindi mo siya pwedeng ilagay doon sa income. Common stock, nasa balance sheet. Why? Ito yung nasa equity account mo. And also the retained earnings. No? And also the dividend. Dividend is not an expense. Kasi ang dividend, hindi mo yan isama when you claim deductions for your net income. In order to arrive at your net income, hindi kasama yung dividend doon. Kasi ang dividend, deduction siya na retained earnings. Wala siyang effect doon sa net income mo na dapat bayaran mo yung tax. Service revenue, ito yung income, and then salaries expense mo sa income statement. No? Same with your service revenue kasi income mo yan. So, nandun yan sa income statement naka-report. Also, your rent expense. No? Because your rent expense is the deduction against the income that you receive. No? So, balance tayo sa trial balance. We have debit balance of 23,700 and we also have the credit balance of 28,700. Okay. So, adjusting interest for deferrals. Ano itong deferrals? Natanggap mo na, pero hindi mo pa siya earn. No? O kaya, binayaran mo na yung expense, pero hindi pa siya due. No? So, advance payment. Deferrals are prepaid expenses or unearned revenues. No? Pagka income ang tinanggap mo, unearned pa. Pagka naman binayaran mo yung expense, prepaid ang tawag doon. No? So, anong gagawin? Kasi ang pinag-uusapan natin is adjusting entries. No? So, you have to make an adjustment for deferrals to record the portion of the deferral that represent the expense incurred or the revenue earned in the current period. Since ito na nga, katapusan na, no? Katapusan na ng taxable period natin o kaya kung monthly yung ginawa natin na report, katapusan na ng month. So, anong gagawin natin? Mag-a-adjust na tayo ng account. Why? Because yung sinasabi natin ng mga prepaid expenses na yan, yung part dyan, nagastos na natin. Doon naman sa unearned income, na hindi pa natin earn, pero na-receive na natin, meron ng part dyan na na-earn na. No? So, we have to adjust. Prepaid expenses. Companies record payments of expenses that will benefit more than one accounting period as assets called prepaid expenses or prepayments. No? So, ano itong mga prepaid expenses or prepayments? Advanced na to, no? Na mga expenses natin. So, when expenses are prepaid, the asset account is increased. No? Kasi, asset mo pa yan eh. Bakit asset mo pa? Kasi hindi pa gamit. No? Nasa iyo pa yan. To show the service or benefit that the company will receive in the future. So, future pa lang yung magiging benefit niya. Examples of common prepayments are insurance, supplies, advertising, and rent. No? Also, companies make prepayments when they purchase buildings and equipment. So, yan yung mga prepayments. Prepaid expenses are costs that expire either by the passage of time. So, kasama na yung rent at saka insurance. Or, ginamit mo na yung supplies. The expiration cost not require daily journal entries. Kaya nga, papasok siya sa adjusting entries. No? Okay. So, ano yung mga adjusting entries na gagawin natin? Number 1, to record the expenses that apply to the current accounting period. Kagaya nimbawa na insurance, 1 year yung binayaran natin na insurance. Halimbawa, 3 months pa lang yung gamit natin o kaya yung 1 month. So, we have to compute for the 1 month para i-claim natin na expense. So, to show the unexpired cost in the asset account, no? Kasi ang gagawin mo dyan, yung account na prepaid mo, tanggalin mo dyan yung na-expense mo na, maiiwan yung prepaid pa rin, no? So, isang portion na gamit na, gamitin mo siya doon sa, ilagay mo siya doon sa income statement, yung mga hindi pa gamit na sa balance sheet pa rin kasi asset mo. So, ito yung example ng adjusting entries for the prepaid expenses. Ang prepaid expenses is assets, no? Kaya, anong nangyayari? Yung asset mo, pagka may prepaid expenses ka, nadagdagan yung asset mo, no? So, pag nag-credit ka, nababawasan yung asset mo. Sa expenses naman, pag nag-debit ka, no? Madadagdagan siya kasi yung expense mo. Pero itong expenses, magkaiba sila ng financial statement. Papatak ito doon sa income, samantalang yung asset sa balance sheet naman. No? So, itong asset na prepaid expenses, pag binawasan mo yan, nilagay mo doon sa expenses, i-credit mo siya, bawas. No? Ano bang sabi natin sa accounting equation? Assets equals liabilities plus equity. No? So, yung asset na dadagdagan sa debit, yung liabilities na dadagdagan sa credit. No? Yung asset na babawasan sa credit, ang liability naman na babawasan sa debit. Magka-opposite sila. Supplies. No? So, ano bang pakinabang natin sa supplies? They are used in the ordinary course of business. So, ano yung mga supplies na yan? Example, the papers, the envelopes, printer, cartridges na ginagamit natin. Ito yung mga ball pen, mga eraser, no? Ito yung mga consumable sa opisina. Okay. So, anong gagawin natin for the supplies? Debit supplies, no? To the asset account when they acquire them. Kasi hindi pa siya gamit. Kaya asset pa. Pero, during the operations, gagamitin mo na ngayon yung supplies, anong gagawin mo? I-expense mo na siya, no? That's why at the end of the accounting period, bibilangin mo yung mga natira na supplies para yung natira, ibalik mo siya doon sa asset. Yung nabawas, ilagay mo na siya doon sa expenses. Okay, so the difference between the balance sheet in the supplies account and the supplies on hand represent the supplies used or expense for the period. So, yung nagamit mo na, saan yan pupunta? Doon sa income statement mo as supplies expense. Yung hindi pa gamit, maiiwan siya doon sa balance sheet mo kasi asset mo pa siya. The cost of supplies used is 1,500, pero yung supplies na binili 2,500, no? So, Magkano yung natira sa assets? 1,000. Magkano yung mapunta sa expense? 1,500. Ano yung magiging adjusting entry natin as of September 30? Kasi September 30 po yung date na nandito sa sample natin. Debit advertising supplies expense, 1,500. Credit advertising supplies, 1,500. To record supplies used. No? So, ano yung supplies used natin? 1,500. So, ito na yung expense. No? Kaya, ang nakalagay dyan, supplies expense. So, pagdating sa ledger natin, papakita ko to lahat sa inyo. May naka-prepare na ako dito noon na ledger at saka yung journal para sa adjusting entries natin. No? So, mapupunta siya ngayon sa advertising supplies sa ledger at saka advertising supplies expense sa ledger, no? Yung sa journal naman, anong mangyayari sa kanya? Advertising supplies expense, credit advertising supplies to record supplies used. So doon naman yan siya i-record sa journal, no? Kasi ano ba sabi natin, yung journal entries natin sa journal i-record, yun namang mga account balances dito sa ledger, ipopost natin. So, hindi tayo magpo-post sa ledger kung wala muna dito sa journal. So, ito yung una natin, no? Advertising supplies, ito yung adjusting entries natin. So, for September 30, advertising supplies expense natin, 1,500. And then, advertising supplies natin, 1,500, no? So, yun yung journal entries natin to record supplies used, no? So, yun yung example natin ng adjusting entries. Okay. Since gawa tayo ng journal entries, adjusting entries, dapat may corresponding din siyang posting sa ledger. So, paano natin pinopost yung doon sa ledger, no? So, ito yung ledger natin. Ginawa ko na siya. O, para ready na kayo. So, para mayroon tayong guide, yung nakalagay dito ng mga A, B, C, nilagyan ko na ng mga account name, no? So, sa letter A, nandiyan na yung advertising supplies, accounts payable. Sa D, nandiyan na yung dividends. Sa C, nandun na yung cash at saka common stock, no? So, yun po yung example natin. So, let's now go to the pag nagawa po kayo ng ledger account nyo, sundan nyo yung account nyo sa balance sheet account, no? Kasi nauna talaga yung balance sheet account. So, yung umpisa natin is cash, no? And then, sunod, meron tayong accounts receivable, no? So, balance sheet account yan. And then, meron tayong advertising supplies. So, ano yung in-adjust natin sa ating advertising supplies? We have the advertising supplies, nag-debit tayo ng 2,500 nung bumili tayo. And then, anong ginawa natin? Since gamit na yung 1,500, nag-adjusting entry tayo which is credit 1,500. Bakit tayo nag-credit? Kasi asset account po itong prepaid na supplies na to, advertising supplies. So, asset account siya. So, paano bawasan natin, magkikredit tayo. So, anong ginawa natin? Nag-credit tayo ng 1,500 kasi na-expense na siya, no? Okay, so ano pa yung isang account na affected siya dito sa adjusting entries? Ito yung advertising supplies expense, no? So, hanapin natin dito kasi ang mga account ng income statement, panghuli siya dito sa ating ledger, no? Kasi ang pagkasunod-sunod po ng posting ng account dito, according to mauna yung balance sheet accounts, sunod na yung income statement account, no? Okay. Nasaan siya? Income statement account, yung advertising supplies expense, no? Okay. So, nandito po siya, no? Dahil alam natin na nagkaroon na tayo ng 1,500 na ginamit natin. So, sa advertising supplies expense, nag-debit tayo ng 1,500. Bakit debit siya? Kasi sa income statement account, ang expense is nasa debit balance. And so, anong nangyari doon sa asset account natin sa supplies expense? magkano na lang yung balance ng advertising supplies natin. 2,500 siya. Saan yung ating advertising supplies? Okay. So, ito yung ating advertising supplies, 2,500 kasi yun yung binili natin. Ngayon, nagkaroon tayo na adjusting entries na 1,500. So, binawasan natin siya na 1,500. So, yung adjusted balance niya is only 1,000. No? So, yung hindi pa gamit is 1,000. Yung nagamit na 1,500, bumili tayo ng 2,500, naiwan yung 1,000. Yan yung maiwan sa balance sheet. Iyon na lang yung asset account. Pag-aari pa yun. No? Okay. Insurance. Companies purchase insurance to protect themselves kasi ito yung risk management ng isang company. No? In order to manage the risk, ipasa mo yung risk sa insurance. That's why you are going to pay premium para protected ka. No? That in case something will happen, meron kang claim, may insurance na magbabayad sa iyo, no? To minimize your loss. So, itong insurance, binabayaran to usually ahead siya ng 1 year. So, nagiging prepaid insurance siya. No? So, paano i-record yung insurance? Nasa asset account din siya. No? Okay. So, nasaan siya? Nasa asset account. So, prepaid insurance, noong September 4, nagbayad ng 600 sa prepaid insurance. That is good for 1 year. No? So, anong nangyari? Nagkaroon ng adjusting entry kasi ang 600 is good for 1 year. So, since September is only 1 month, magkano lang yung na-incur mo na insurance expense for 1 month? So, 600 divided by 12 equals 50. No? So, yung adjusting entry mo for the month of September is 50. So, magkano pa yung balance mo sa prepaid insurance mo? 550 pa. No? So, saan mapupunta itong 550? Doon sa balance sheet mo. So, yung 50 na yan, saan yan mapunta ngayon? Doon sa insurance expense mo na 50 and then credit prepaid insurance mo na 50. Yung asset, babawasan natin yung 600 na nasa debit. So, ang bawas niya na 50, lagay natin sa credenda, prepaid insurance. So, ano na mangyari ngayon doon sa insurance expense? Okay. So, yung insurance expense mo, meron siyang debit na 50. No? Kasi ang sabi natin, pag expense, debit. Pag income, credit. Yan ang account sa income statement. No? So, ang adjusting entry mo, 50 na insurance expense. Saan mo siya dadalhin pag gumawa ka na ng statement? Sa income statement account kasi i-claim mo na siya as an expenses. No? Okay. Paano mo naman i-post sa journal mo yung debit insurance expense? Dito naman yan. No? Kasi adjusting entries nga. So, debit insurance expense na 50 and then you credit also prepaid insurance 15 na prepaid insurance expense na 50, no? Ano yung reason mo to record insurance na nag-expire, no? So prepaid insurance at saka insurance expense, yun yung dalawang account na affected doon sa paggawa natin ng adjusting entry. So, since nag-debit tayo ng 50, sa prepaid insurance naman, nag-credit tayo ng 50. Bakit? Kasi binawasan natin yung prepaid insurance. So, sa posting, papakita ko sa ito yung posting. Dito naman sa prepaid insurance, magke-credit ka ng 50. No? Pag ang asset account ng prepaid insurance, bawasan mo, so i-credit mo siya para mabawas siya. Kasi pagka gusto mong bawasan yung asset account, magki-credit ka ng amount. No? So, nilagay natin dito sa credit yung 50, nabawasan ngayon yung 600 na insurance, 550 na lang. Nagbawas tayo ng 50. Yun yung insurance na gamit na during the month. Okay, so depreciation. Another account na dapat din i-adjust is the depreciation. Why? Because yun yung mga assets na sinasabi natin na depreciable assets. At ano yung depreciable assets? The government allows us a certain amount that will cover the wear and tear of our assets used in business, so that pagka na-diminish na, wala ng value yung property na yan, yung depreciation na allowance, yan na yung allowance na binigay sa atin para makabili tayo ulit, no? So, yun yung benefits. Okay. So, usually, yung companies record the asset at cost. At sa BIR requirement talaga yan na you recognize, you value your asset at cost, you depreciate your asset at cost, no? And then, paano mo siya i-depreciate? You determine the useful life of the asset. So, ilang taon ba yung asset mo para ma-depreciate yan? So, halimbawa, ang asset mo is equipments, transportation equipments. So, sa accounting standards, 5 years. So, halimbawa, binili mo yan ng 500,000 divided by 5 years. So, yearly, meron kang 100,000 na allowable na depreciation. So, i-divide mo yan sa 12 months, makukuha mo na ngayon yung monthly depreciation na i-claim mo. No? So, ano yung tinatawag natin na matching principle? Bakit tayo mag-adjust sa depreciation? Kasi sa matching principle, I told you that kailangan yung i-claim mo na expense pertaining only to that period. So, in the case of depreciation, at halimbawa, yung ating kinocompute is for 1 month lang. So, 1 month lang dapat na depreciation ang gagawin natin. So, total depreciation for the year divided by 12 months, yun yung monthly natin. No? Okay. So, depreciation expense is 40, and then credit accumulated depreciation office equipment na 40, debit depreciation expense 40, and then we credit accumulated depreciation office equipment na 40. So, anong reason natin to record monthly depreciation, no? So, to record monthly depreciation na charge natin sa expense. So, yun po yung reason natin, no? So, anong mga accounts yung affected dahil nagkaroon tayo ng adjustment? So, the office equipment is 1,000. So, yung accumulated depreciation natin, office equipment, nag-credit tayo ng 40, and then nag-debit tayo ng office equipment na 14, no? So, our office equipment is 5,000, and then nagkaroon tayo ng adjusting entry 40. So, credit siya. Bakit credit? Kasi babawas natin siya doon sa office equipment natin na account, no? So, credit ang accumulated depreciation. So, statement presentation. The office equipment is a contra asset account kasi bawas nga siya, no? So, ino-offset siya sa balance sheet account. Doon naman sa presentation natin sa financial statement, usually, ang sinushow doon sa balance sheet, net of depreciation na. So, saan na pinapakita yung depreciation? Kasi mandatory po that we have to prepare the lapsing schedule, no? As attachment to the income tax return. So, ano yung nandun sa lapsing schedule? Nandoon na yung total amount claim for depreciation, no? So, nandun na yung mga total assets mo, add kung ano yung mga nadagdag mo during the year, and then yung beginning depreciation niya, i-add mo yung current na depreciation, and then yun yung carrying value niya for the year, less disposal kung nag-dispose ka, then that would be your balance, na account balance mo for the property, plant, and equipment mo for the year or for the month. Depende sa period na nagre-report ka, no? So, since nagbawas tayo ng office equipment ng 40, magkano na lang yung balance natin sa office equipment? 4,960 kasi ang balance natin sa office equipment is 5,000, no? So, our depreciation expense naman for the month, yung amount lang na para doon sa month na yun, yun lang yung ating i-compute. So, in this case, 40, no? So, for the prepaid adjustment, the omission of this adjusting entry would cost total assets, total owner's equity, and net income to be overstated and depreciation expense to be understated kung hindi natin siya adjust, no? Ito yung magiging result the accounting for prepaid expenses, no? For example, we have the insurance, we have supplies, we have advertising, we have rent, we have depreciation. Bakit kailangan natin siya i-adjust? Because the prepaid expenses recorded in asset accounts have been used. Nilagay natin siya sa asset, since gamit na, tanggalin natin sa assets, no? So, account before the adjustment are assets are overstated, expenses understated. So, hindi natin gusto na maging ganyan dahil hindi siya fair presentation, mali siya na presentation. So, anong gagawin natin? We have to make an adjusting entry, no? Paano tayo gagawa na adjusting entry? I-debit natin yung expenses, i-credit natin yung assets. Bakit natin i-debit yung expenses? Pag nag-debit ka ng expenses, dagdag yan sa expenses. Pag nag-credit naman tayo ng assets, bawas yan sa assets. So, dapat lang nabawasan yung assets kasi ginagamit na. So, let's now go to the unearned revenues, no? So, ito yung mga cash na na-receive na pero hindi pa na-earn because advance nga siya na tinanggap, no? Ito yung rent, customer deposits, and others. The unearned revenues are opposite of prepaid expenses. Bakit? Kasi ang unearned revenues, liability mo yan eh. Samantalang yung prepaid expenses mo is your asset, no? So, halimbawa yung company receive cash pero in the future mo pa ibibigay yung services. So, advance payment niya. So, ano nangyayari? It increases the credits na unearned revenue account, which is a liability. And the company earns revenue by providing the services pagka nag-provide na siya ng ganong klaseng services, no? So, ito yung magiging adjustment natin on the unearned revenues. So, unearned revenue is a liability account. So, when you debit the adjusting entry, binawasan mo yung unearned revenue, no? Pag ang revenue naman is a credit, no? Account. Nasa credit account siya ng balance sheet. So, pag nag-credit ka naman, dinadagdagan mo. Okay, so, ABC Advertising Agency received 1,200 on September 2 for advertising services, no? Na i-complete pa niya sa December 31. So, yung account balance ng as of September 30 is 1,200, no? Okay. But the analysis reveals that the company earned 400 of those fees in September, no? Pero during the September, ka-earn na siya ng 400, no? So, anong gagawin mong adjusting entries doon sa unearned revenue, no? So, ito yung gagawin mo na adjusting entry. Debit unearned revenue of 400, no? And then credit service revenue of 400. Bakit? Kasi babawasan mo na yung unearned revenue mo na liabilities. Kasi hindi na siya liability. So, in short, reclassify mo siya, ilipat mo na siya sa ibang account. So, saan mo siya ilipat? Sa service revenue na kasi earn na siya. No? So, ganyan. Unearned revenue. Nag-debit tayo ng 400. Bakit? Kasi ang credit balance ng unearned revenue, 1,200. Nag-adjusting entry tayo ng 400. So, ang balance niya is only 800. No? So, ganyan po yung gagawin natin sa adjusting entry. No? So, anong gagawin natin adjusting entry? We have to debit the liabilities and credit the revenues. Why debit liabilities? Kasi ang debit, bawas. No? Bakit natin i-credit yung revenues? Kasi ang credit sa revenues, dagdag. No? Credit balance ang revenue sa income statement. Okay? So, mag-adjust tayo ng debit liabilities and then credit revenues. No? Okay. Ito na yung ating adjusting entry. No? Nasaan siya? Dito siya sa 400. No? Adjusting entries natin is 400. No? Okay. Okay. So, adjusting entries for accruals. Ano itong mga accruals na to, no? Because this is the second category of adjusting entries. No, the accruals. Companies make adjusting entries for accruals to record revenues earned and expenses incurred in the current accounting period that have not been recognized through daily entries, no? So, hindi na-record sa daily entry natin, kaya magkakaroon tayo ng adjusting entry. Bakit kailangan tayong mag-adjust ng entries natin? Kasi hindi siya nakasama. So, pag hindi natin isinama, what is the effect? Magkakaroon ng understatement dun sa account or overstatement naman dun sa ibang account, no? Okay, so accrued revenues. These revenues are earned but not yet recorded at the statement date are accrued revenues, no? So, hindi pa sila na record at the statement date, na earn na, no? Ibig sabihin, kinita mo na siya, pero hindi pa siya naka-record. So, accrued revenues may accumulate or accrue with the passing of time, as in the case of interest revenue and rent revenue. Ano tong interest revenue? Ito yung nagbayad na sa iyo in advance, pero nirecord mo pa siya na unearned kasi hindi mo pa siya nga na-earned. Pero habang nagpa-pass na yung time, unti-unti mo na siyang na-earn. So, dapat anong gagawin mo? Adjust ka, no? Or, they may result from services that have been performed but are neither billed nor collected. Na-perform na yung services pero hindi pa nasingil, no? Hindi pa nagbayad. The former are unrecorded because the earning process of interest and rent does not involve daily transactions. The latter may be unrecorded because the company has provided only a portion of the total service. No? So, yun yung mga accrued revenues na tinatawag natin. No, na-earn mo na, pero hindi mo pa na-record. That's why you are going to adjust. Okay. So, ano itong mga adjusting entry for this? No, for the accrued expenses. Dito sa asset, ano ba yung rule natin sa accounting? Di ba yung asset equals liability plus equity, no? Asset, pag nag-debit ka ng adjusting entries, dagdagan mo siya. Ang revenue naman, pag nag-credit ka ng adjusting entries, ito yung dagdag naman siya, no? So, dinagdagan mo yung asset, dinagdagan mo rin yung revenue. Okay. Ito yung asset na balance sheet account, ito yung revenue na income statement account. Kasi pag nag-adjusting entry ka, ang isa is balance sheet account, ang isa is income statement account. Yung isa is temporary account, ang isa is permanent account. Kaya ka nag-a-adjust, no? So, example. So, dito po sa adjusting entries natin, ito yung ating journal, no? So, asan siya? Yung September 30 natin na accounts receivable na 200, no? So, hindi natin na ilagay dito. Pero ito yung ating mga sample ng adjusting entries which I show you kanina, no? So, no September 30, yung ating accounts receivable is 200. Nag-record tayo ng 200 because ito yung advertising services na hindi na-record. So, anong gagawin natin? I-record natin so that maidagdag natin doon sa income for the month, which is for September 30. No? So, nag-debit tayo ng accounts receivable, which is an asset account, and then we credit service revenue, which is a temporary account, no? Or income statement account. So, pareho silang nagdagdag, no? Pareho nating dinagdagan. Okay? After ABC post the adjusting entry, the account show yung accounts receivable na dagdagan, yung service revenue na dagdagan din ng 200, no? So, yun yung nagiging effect. Okay. So, accounting for accrued revenues, no? So bakit tayo mag-account for the accrued revenues? At dito nga natin siya report sa ating adjusting entries, no? The examples ng mga account are interest, rent, services performed but not collected. Ito yung mga accruals, no? So, reason for adjustment, revenues have been earned but not yet received in cash or recorded. Bakit tayo mag-a-adjust? Kasi na-earn na pero hindi na pa natin na-record or hindi pa natin na-receive yung cash. Accounts before adjustment, the assets understated, the revenues understated. No? Bago ka mag-adjust, yung asset mo kulang kasi hindi mo na-record, yung revenue mo kulang din. That's why kailangan i-record, no? So ano yung adjusting entry mo? Debit assets, credit revenues. Bakit? Kasi pareho mo silang dalawang dagdagan. Pag nag-debit ka ng assets, nadadagdagan ang assets. Pag nag-credit ka ng revenues, nadadagdagan ang revenue. No? Accrued expenses. No? Kanina accrued income yun. Ngayon naman sa expenses. Expenses incurred but are not yet paid. No? Incurred mo na. May expenses ka na pero hindi mo pa bayad. Hindi pa rin na-record sa statement date. No? Interest, rent, taxes, salaries are typical accrued expenses. Bakit? Kasi hindi mo yan kaagad-agad na babayaran. Mababayaran yan following month pa or the next period pa. No? So, accrued expenses result from the same causes as accrued revenues. Accrued expense on the books of one company is an accrued revenue to another company. No? Okay. So, ito yung adjusting entries natin for the accrued expenses. So, for the accrued expenses, we debit the adjusting entries. So, dagdag. No? Dagdag yung expense. Kasi, expenses na nga siya. So, i-recognize natin as an expense. Idagdag natin sa expense. And then, sa revenue, no? So, credit adjusting entry for the revenue. So, pag nag-credit ka sa revenue, anong mangyayari? Dagdag din. No? Okay. So, prior to adjustment, both liabilities and expenses are understated. Pareho silang understated. Kaya anong gagawin mo para madagdagan? Ano? Yung adjusting entry mo would be accrued expenses, debit, and the expense account, an increase also credit a liability account. No? Okay. Accrued interest. Paano may record yung accrued interest? Paano ka magkaroon ng adjusting interest dito? No? So, nangutang yung ABC ng 5,000 for a 3-month note payable. Ang rate ng interest is 12%. So, how are you going to compute for the 3-month interest at 12% per annum? No? So, 3 months, 5,000 face value, multiply by 12% interest rate times 3 over 12. No? So, ang interest rate mo is 50 pesos per month. No? So, ito yung kanyang computation. 5,000 face value multiply by the annual interest rate of 12% multiply by the time in terms of 1 year. No? So ABC makes the following accrued expense adjusting entry on September 30. So, anong entry natin? Journal entry, adjusting entry natin. Debit interest expense of 50 and then credit interest payable of 50. So, pareho natin silang dinagdagan. Dinagdagan natin yung expense, dinagdagan din natin yung liability account ng 50. Kasi accrued pa nga, hindi pa siya nabayaran. No? So, pagka nag-post na tayo sa journal natin, debit ka ng 50 interest expense and then credit ka rin doon sa ledger natin ng 50, no? So, mamaya papakita natin yan. Okay. So, companies use the interest payable instead of crediting the notes payable to disclose the two types of obligations, no? Okay. Kasi merong interest at saka merong principal. Accrued salaries. So, are you be going to adjust the accrued salaries, no? So, the calendar, ito yung may 3 working days remain in September, no? So, may naiwan pa na 3 days sa September. So, mag-a-adjust tayo. Hindi kasi siya nabayaran noong September. Kailan siya nabayaran? Sa October pa na payday. Okay? So, as of September 30, the salaries for the last 3 days of the month represent accrued expense kasi hindi pa siya nabayaran. And a related liability. The employees receive total salaries of 2,000 for a 5-day work week of 400 per day. So, the accrued salaries September 30 are 1,200. So, 400 times 3 days. So, hindi nabayaran yung 1,200. 1,200, no? ABC company makes the following adjusting entry. Ano yung adjusting entries niya? Debit salary expense, dagdagan mo yung salaries expense, and credit salaries payable. Bakit salaries payable? Kasi hindi pa bayad, no? So, babayaran pa lang. After the company posts this adjusting entry, the account shows salaries expense, no? So, may debit ka na 4,000, nag-adjusting entries ka na another 1,200. So, yung salaries expense mo is 5,200. And then, you credit salaries payable of 1,200 because adjusting entry mo, the 1,200 is not yet paid, no? So, you recognize it as a liability. And then, we have the salaries payable of 1,200 and then the salaries expense ng 1,200 pagdating na po ng October 9, no? So, ano yan? Yung i-credit mo yung cash na 2,800 to record the October 9 payroll, no? Pero hindi mo pa yan i-reflect dito sa September, no? Yun na yung payment mo pagdating na ng October. Okay? So, accounting for accrued expenses, for example, the interest, the rent, and the salaries. Bakit kailangan natin mag-adjust? Because the expenses have already been incurred pero hindi pa nabayaran, no? At hindi pa rin na record. So, anong nangyari sa account before the adjustment? The expenses are understated. Bakit understated? Kasi hindi mo pa na-recognize, hindi mo na-record, hindi pa nadagdag doon sa expenses mo. So, since ang expenses mo understated, hindi mo na-recognize, yung liabilities mo is also understated. Kaya pagdating sa adjusting entries, pareho mo silang dagdagan. So, anong adjusting entry mo? Debit ka ng expenses. Ang debit, sabi natin, is dagdag sa asset account mo. So, dagdag sa expenses kasi nag-debit ka. And then, nag-credit ka ng liabilities. Dagdag din sa liabilities mo kasi nag-credit ka. Summary of journalizing and posting, no? So, the ledger identifies all adjustments by the reference, no? J2, ito yung journal 2, because they have been recorded on the general journal. The company may insert a certain caption adjusting entries between the last transaction entry and the first adjusting entry in the journal, no? So, when you review the general ledger, note that the entries highlighted in color red are the adjustments, no? So, makikita nyo din yan sa ginawa kong posting sa ano natin. Dito po sa sample natin na adjusting entries dito sa ledger natin at saka dito sa journal natin, no? Kikita nyo yan mamaya. So, our adjusting entries for the general journal as of September 30, 2019, no? So, yun yung nasa PowerPoint natin na nilipat ko dito sa libro para makikita nyo kung anong hitsura niya sa pagdating sa libro, no? So, the account title for September 30 accounting entries, no, adjusting entries natin, we have the adjusting entries, we have the reference, and then we have the debit and the credit, no? So, advertising supplies expense, debit 1,500 and then credit advertising supplies of 1,500 to record the supplies used. Yun yung in-adjust natin yung entries. Bakit? Pag hindi natin in-adjust, over yung advertising supplies na expense natin kulang ng 1,500 and then yung advertising supplies naman natin over ng 1,500, overstated, no? So, anong gagawin natin? I-adjust natin, bawasan natin para hindi siya sumobra. No? So, yun yung ating adjusting entries. Ito yung reference, ito yung account number, no, na 631 at saka 126. And then we have the insurance expense, no, debit. And then we have the prepaid insurance, also the credit, no, to record insurance expired. Dinagdag natin siya sa expense. And then we also have the adjusting entries on the depreciation expense na 40, credit accumulated depreciation ng office equipment na 40. To recognize also the 40 na i-claim natin na depreciation, no? And then we have the unearned revenue. Magkano yung unearned revenue natin? 400, no? So we have the unearned revenue of the 400 and then the service revenue of 400 to record the revenue for the services provided, no? So debit unearned revenue of 400 and then credit service revenue of 400 dinagdagan natin. So again, the record natin yung ating adjusting entries. We have the interest expense of 50 and then credit the interest payable, no? The record natin 50 to record interest on notes payable. And then we have the accounts receivable na 200, no? And then we credit service revenue na 200. Then we have salaries expense na 1,200 and then credit salaries payable 1,200 to adjust on the salaries na hindi natin binayaran. No? So, yan yung ating mga journal entries nung nag-adjust na tayo. No? So, ang tawag dyan, adjusting entries. Pagdating naman po sa general ledger, so ito na yung ating general ledger. Nandito naman yung ating adjusting entries. No? So, umpisa tayo sa cash. Kasi sabi ko na nga sa inyo, ang cash ang pinakamagalaw sa lahat ng account, no? So, ito yung ating cash. Ano yung mga debits lahat dyan? Nag-debit tayo ng 10,200 noong September 1. September 2, another 1,200. And then, September 30, 10,000. So, ito lahat yung mga debits natin sa cash, no? And then, nag-credit tayo sa cash noong September 3, 900, September 4, 600, September 20, 500, and September 26, 4,000. No? So, kung itotal mo yung total ng cash na debit at saka itotal mo yung credit, yung debit na total, bawas mo yung credit na total, yung balance niya is 15,200. No? So, meron tayong balance na 15,200. Saan pag gumawa tayo ng trial balance, yan na ilagay natin doon na balance ng cash or yung amount ng cash at the end of the period. No? So, yan, ito na yung account na pupunta doon sa trial balance. Adjusted na. No? Trial balance. And then we have the accounts receivable. Nag-adjust din tayo, no? Sa adjusting entries natin. We have the accounts receivable ng 200. Bakit tayo nag-adjust, nag-debit tayo, nagdagdag kasi hindi siya na-record, so na-record natin, no? So magkano yung balance niya? 200 pa rin kasi wala naman siyang bawas. So itong 200 na yon, kineri natin to sa balance sheet, no? And then we have the advertising supplies. No? So meron tayong debit sa advertising supplies nung September 5 na 2,500. Nagkaroon tayo ng adjusting entry na 1,500 noong September 30 because ito yung gamit na natin na supplies. So, magkano na lang yung balance? 1,000. Bakit? Kasi yung 2,500 na debit, ibawas mo yung credit na 1,500. Magkano na lang yung matira? 1,000. No? Debit balance. Ito yung ilipat naman natin sa adjusted trial balance natin at ilipat din natin sa ating income statement or sa ating balance sheet account. Ito namang prepaid insurance natin, no? Na meron tayong insurance expense na 600, prepaid pa siya, hindi pa gamit kasi good for 1 year siya, no? Nagkaroon tayo ng adjusting entry for the month na gastos na siya 50. So 600 minus 50, debit minus credit equals 550. Ito na naman yung balance natin na dadalhin natin doon sa balance sheet. Tsaka sa trial balance natin. Office equipment, meron tayong 5,000. Nagkaroon tayo ng adjusting entry doon sa accumulated depreciation niya. So, ang balance natin, 4,960. Debit 5,000, credit na 40. So, yung balance natin, 4,960. So, accumulated depreciation natin, meron tayong credit na 40. Bakit credit na 40? Kasi credit balance ang accumulated depreciation. No? So, wala siyang adjustment for the accumulated depreciation. Kaya itong balance na 40, dadalhin natin yan doon sa adjusted trial balance natin at dadalhin din natin sa income statement. And then we have the notes payable, no, na 5,000. Wala siyang bawas, no? And then we also have the accounts payable na 2,500. Wala rin siyang bawas. So, yun na yung account balance na dadalhin natin sa balance sheet. Unearned revenue, noong September 30, meron tayong adjusting entries na 400, no? Yung unearned revenues natin is 1,200. Ang balance niyan is credit balance kasi revenue, no? Liability, unearned revenue. Nag-adjust tayo ng 400 kaya ang ending balance niya is 800. No? So, yun yung unearned revenue na dadalhin natin sa adjusted trial balance natin, dadalhin natin sa balance sheet. Okay. Salaries payable natin, meron tayong adjusting entry na 1,200. So, yun din yung balance na dadalhin natin sa adjusted trial balance. For the interest payable, we have the adjusting entry of 50. No? So, wala siyang debit. Kaya yun na yung balance niya, 50. For the common stocks, we have the 10,000 na credit. So, walang debit. So, yun na yung ending natin. No? Yung written earnings natin, wala pa. Kasi wala pa tayong computation dahil hindi pa natin nagawa yung income statement. No? Pero, yung written earnings talaga dyan is 10,860. And then, yung dividend na 500. Kaya, ang written earnings natin dyan na total, no? Ano to 2,860 kaya 2,360 na lang itong written earnings natin, no? Okay. Pero hindi pa nakalagay dito dahil hindi pa natin na gawa, hindi pa tayo tapos sa trial balance. Okay. So, for the dividend, we have 500, no? Wala siyang credit, kaya yun yung balance natin, 500. For the service revenues, marami tayong adjusting entries, dalawa, no? Yung adjusting entries natin na credit na 400 sa 200, kaya yung ending balance natin is 10,600, parehong credit, no? Walang bawas. For the advertising supplies expense, we have 1,500. Walang credit, kaya yun yung balance natin na dadalhin sa income statement. Depreciation expense naman natin is 40. Debit kasi expense siya. Wala din siyang credit. So, ito yung dadalhin natin sa adjusted trial balance na dadalhin din doon sa income statement para ma-claim natin as an expense. And then next is the insurance expense. For the insurance expense, yung adjusting entry natin, nag-debit ng 50 kasi expense siya. Wala na siyang credit. So, yun yung balance natin for the adjusted trial balance at dadalhin natin sa income statement. Okay. Salaries expense natin, meron tayong noong September 26, meron tayong debit na 4,000 and then nagkaroon tayo ng adjusting entry noong September 30 na 1,200. Kaya magkano na yung balance natin? 5,200 for the salaries expense. Saan natin yan dadalhin? Sa adjusted trial balance at dadalhin din natin sa income statement. No? Kasi yun na yung ating expense for the salary for the period. And then we have the rent expense. Magkano yung rent expense natin? 900, no? Pero hindi pa lahat gamit yan. Nagkaroon dyan ng adjusting entries, no? Rent expense natin, the balance is 900. And then we have the interest expense na 50. Nag-adjust tayo dito. So, nagkaroon tayo ng balance na 50 na dadalhin natin sa adjusted trial balance at dadalhin din natin sa income statement. So, yun yung mga adjusting entries po natin. At saka pinapakita ko lang sa inyo paano sila pinopost sa ledger. No? So, nakapag-post na tayo sa ledger, naka-journalize na tayo, nag-journal na tayo ng ating mga adjusting entries. Ano yung next? Gagawin na natin kasi meron na tayong available na balances, gagawin na natin yung adjusted na trial balance. Dito na yun nanggagaling. No? So, in preparing the adjusted trial balance, kukunin natin lahat ng debits at kukunin natin lahat ng credits. So, since adjusted na yung trial balance natin, how much is the debit? 30,190. And how much is the credit? Also 30,190. So balance, no? So after this, gagawa na tayo ng financial statement, no? So paano natin gagawin yung financial statement? I-classify natin yung mga balance sheet accounts at saka yung mga income statement accounts. Ano yung sabi natin? Financial statement accounts, ito yung balance sheet accounts, ito yung permanent accounts, no? Tapos yung mga income statement accounts, yun yung temporary accounts na i-discuss natin yan dun sa closing entries, no? But for this time, magpe-prepare tayo ng financial statements. So, papaano? Ito na ngayon. Magmula sa ating adjusted na trial balance, kukunin natin lahat ng mga accounts na kailangan para mabuo natin yung ating income statement. So, ano yun? Kailangan sa income statement, kailangan natin yung revenue. Magkano ba yung service revenue natin? Diba doon sa adjusted na trial balance natin, na galing doon sa ledger natin, the ledger balance, na dinala natin sa adjusted trial balance is 10,600 na, no? Kasi nag-umpisa siya sa 10,000, tapos nagkaroon tayo na adjusting entries na 400 at saka 200, kaya naging 10,600 siya. So, dadalhin natin yan dito sa income statement, service revenue, 10,600. And then, doon sa mga balances sa ledger na sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, isa-isa, yung ending balance ng salaries expense, advertising, supply expense, rent expense. So, nandyan na lahat, dinala na natin dito sa income statement. So, magkano yung total niyan? 7,740. So, magkano yung net income natin? 2,860. Ngayon, itong 2,860 na net income, saan naman natin yan dadalhin? Dito sa statement of written earnings, no? So, yung written earnings na beginning natin, i-add natin yung net income na 2,860. But since meron tayong dividend na binayaran, ang dividend, direct yan na binabawas sa written earnings. So, yung written earnings natin na natira is 2,360 na lang kasi babawasan mo pa siya ng 500 na payment for the dividend. No? So, meron na tayong income statement. Okay? So, yung next, yung natira na mga accounts, dadalhin naman natin yan sa ating balance sheet. No? So, ano-ano yung mga account na nasa balance sheet natin? We have the assets and we have the liabilities and stockholders equity. No? Saan siya manggagaling? So, yung assets natin, manggagaling sa adjusted trial balance natin na nasa debit side. Kasi assets siya eh. Diba yung ating equation sa accounting, assets equals liabilities plus stockholders equity. So, sa debit and credit natin, ang sabi natin, yung assets, mag-i-increase siya pag nag-debit ka. Yung liabilities, mag-i-increase siya pagka nag-credit ka. So, saan nanggagaling yung ating mga liabilities and stockholders equity? Nasa credit side ng trial balance. Saan naman magagaling yung assets? Nasa debit side ng trial balance. Okay. So, sa assets, meron na tayong cash, no? So, how much is the cash natin kanina? Ito sa ledger. Yun yung dinala natin sa adjusted trial balance natin. So, our cash balance is 15,200. So, andyan na ngayon sa balance sheet natin, 15,500. And then we have the accounts receivable, no? How much is the accounts receivable natin na balance? Ito na, 200. So, nandyan na rin siya, 200, no? We have the advertising supplies na 1,000, no? So, Indian. Bakit 1,000 na lang yan? Kasi karoon ng adjusting entries ng 1,500. So, instead of 2,500, binawasan ng 1,500. Kaya yung balance natin is 1,000. Yan yung dinala natin dyan sa balance sheet. Oh? And then, we have the prepaid insurance na 550. Bakit 550? Kasi 600 yan, pero binawasan natin, nag-adjust tayo ng 50 doon sa expense na. So, ang balance is 550, which is nandyan sa ating balance sheet. And then, yung ating office equipment, no? How much is yung ating office equipment is 5,000, pero meron siyang adjusting entries na 40 for the depreciation. So, magkano na lang siya? 4,960. Oh, so, ito. So, yung total assets natin is 21,910. Now, let's go to liabilities and stockholders' equity. Kung titingnan ninyo, nandyan yung notes payable natin, accounts payable, unearned revenue, salaries payable, interest payable. And then we have the stockholders' equity, yung common stock, wala pong adjustment dyan. 10,000. Magkaroon lang yan ng adjustment kung nagbenta ka o kaya nagbawas ka, no? So, written earnings natin, yung nanggaling sa income statement natin, 2,360. And then the total, we have now the total stockholders' equity, 21,910, which is equal to our total assets, no? 21,910, no? So, yan po yung ating adjusting entries na sana makatulong sa inyo because tamang-tama po, December na ngayon, and it's about for you to close your books of accounts, kaya magpe-prepare na po tayo ng mga adjusting entries. So with that, I would like to say thank you and have a good day.